The theatre, I'm in Once on Tonic Beer. He was in the movie. That's about where the similarities end. This is a gentleman who's acted with the likes of Matt Damon, Bruce Willis, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, and Vin Diesel. He's known for Dr. Bones McCoy, Judge Dredd on the silver screen, Christchurch. The biggest welcome for Karl Urban!
Are you out of your Vulcan minds? How are you guys? It's really great to be here, and I haven't actually been to Christchurch in a very long time, and it's wonderful to be back. And I just want to commend you guys on your spirit and your resilience and your bravery, and my heart goes out to all of you and your loved ones, and it's just remarkable. And going through the city, I was really kind of moved in quite an unexpected way at just the sort of the devastation that I saw, and this is, you know, a couple of years on, and it seems to me it's almost like it feels to me like that, you know, the rest of the country, maybe on some level or another, it's out of sight, out of mind, has kind of forgotten about it. But seeing what you guys actually dealing with on a day-to-day basis is quite a shock to me. You know, I'm sure going to be doing some media about that, because, you know, my hat goes off to you guys for what you've had to put up with for the last few years. So my heart and hat goes out to you guys. Yeah. Here's to you. All right, let's get this show on the road. Who's got some questions?
What's your hand? Question? Have to be the third person away.
While you were on the set, did you guys play any practical pranks or jokes?
I love practical pranks and jokes. Yeah, there were a few. Well, I mean, there's quite some famous ones that went down on Star Trek. And when I was working on Almost Human, I had this driver. Thank you. I had this great driver who kept on trying to prank me, and he would just like come up with epic fail after epic fail. Like, he'd be walking back to my trailer and he'd be underneath my trailer wearing a gorilla's costume and trying to scare me, but then having difficulty getting out. And I'm like, what are you doing? But he got more elaborate. I would come at the end of the day, I would come to my car and put my hand on the handlebar to open it, and there'd be honey on the handlebar. And what else would you do? Oh, I'd come, it was like snowing outside, we were shooting in Vancouver. I would come back after a 17-hour day of on set, go to try and find my pants, and they'd be in the freezer. So I got them back a few times. I got peanut butter, and I put it in the groover's windshield wiper. And like, it didn't rain for weeks, which was pretty vexing. And then all of a sudden it rained, and he came back to work, and he was spewing because he was out in the middle of the road and it started raining. He flicked the window wipers on, and suddenly his window was smeared with peanut butter, and it's oil, and it doesn't come off, and he couldn't see out of the car. I thought that was hilarious. Oh yeah, there's another one I got him where at the end of the shoot, he was driving me to work one day, and my rental car was back at my apartment, and I said, oh yeah, I've got to return that rental car sometime. And I knew that he'd want to do it because it'd give him something to do and get out of sitting around at set. And he goes, oh, I'll do that for you, mate. I mean, you sure? He goes, yeah, I'll do it for you. So what I did was I ran the tank of that car down to empty. And I waited for another rainy day. And I said, oh, could you return the car today? I think today's the day. And he goes, sure, no problem. So he goes and picks up the car, and he just gets it to the top of the car park and out onto the street, and it's bucketing in rain, and he runs out of gas. So he has to get out, and it's soaked, and he has to go and find a petrol station. So that was a particularly good one. But let me say, don't feel sorry for this guy, because let me tell you a story about him. I turned up at set one day to go to work. I was driving, and there was a traffic cone in my parking spot. And just as I'm pulling in, one of the wardrobe girls comes out and goes, "Oh, I'll get that for you, Karl." And she goes and she picks up the traffic cone, and I see her go like this. He'd put honey or some gunk all over it. And then it gets worse. I had noticed that there's a van sort of parked where it's not normally parked with tinted windows. He was inside filming it. He was expecting me to get out of my car and then do that. And did he stop the prank because I wasn't the target wasn't gonna get hit? No, he filmed her doing it. And then he came into my trailer and laughed about it. So practical jokes I do like, I enjoy.
Hi, I was just wondering if you had a favourite damn it Jim or anything that you would want to put into it.
I like damn it Jim, I'm a bricklayer, not a doctor. I'm a doctor, not a bricklayer. Yeah, I think that's one of my favourite ones from the original one. And then, from Star Trek Voyager, I think the guy who played the Doctor, and that said, I'm a doctor, not a lampshade, which was particularly funny. Looking forward to doing more of those.
Hi, love Judge Dredd.
Oh, there you are.
Hi, yes, sorry. Confidence, right? Love Judge Dredd, aware of the situation, so to speak. How does that stand at the moment, and is it possible? And more importantly, what can we do to make it happen if we can do anything?
Thank you, it's a great question. Yeah, well, the great thing about Dredd was, it's proven to be quite a popular film. Unfortunately, when it was released, it wasn't marketed the way that it should have been marketed, and there was just a fundamental lack of awareness. And so consequently, it didn't perform what it should have performed in the States, and then a lot of the international territories kind of looked at that performance and then didn't really promote it. So it was kind of hard done by in that regard. But then, interestingly enough, within its first week of DVD release in the States, it had sold over 750,000 units, and it just climbed. And so the company who actually had the US distribution made a lot of money on that film. And cynically, you could say that they used the release of the film to market the DVD, but not my words. So the interesting thing is it's become quite an iconic cult film, and there's obviously a huge groundswell of support to make a sequel. The difficult part of that is that a lot of the way that it was originally funded was that we sold international territories, and we took that money and were able to make the film. Well, a lot of those territories got burned in the release, so there's a reluctance from them to do the same thing. But now that there's definitely an audience there, and we know there's an audience there, we think that it's possible to make a sequel for the right number and have it do really, really well. There's a whole bunch of people that are basically exploring all the avenues possible, and I know that the producers of the Dredd film are very, very keen to do another one, and it's really a numbers game, and it's about, I guess, finding that capital and moving forward. Alex Garland would love to direct the sequel. And write the sequel, and he'd do a phenomenal job. I had a meeting with him in London, and we talked about what that would be. So really, it's just there's a lot of people trying. So it's a complex situation. Thank you, though. Appreciate it.
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Good, thank you. Is there any particular character or even series that you'd really love to be in or play?
Wow, I feel so blessed because I've had the opportunity to be in so many. I always feel kind of greedy if after Lord of the Rings and Star Trek, Dredd, I feel it's kind of greedy to say I want more. But I don't ever really know what I want to do until I read the script or meet with the people involved with it, and start making decisions about how I would like to play that character. At the moment, I'm currently shooting a film, a Disney movie here in New Zealand, which is awesome, called Pete's Dragon, and really wonderful director, great cast, including Robert Redford, who I'm looking forward to meeting and working with. And I get to work at home, which is a rarity, and any day you can work at home is a bonus, because believe me, I spend a lot of my time in different countries and on airplanes, so yeah, I feel very blessed to be working here. Thank you. Hey guys, how are you?
Hi.
Hey, how are you?
Hi. So I'm just wondering how did you manage to channel DeForest Kelly on Star Trek?
Well, thank you. That's a great question. What's the thing about Star Trek is I was a fan of Star Trek when I was a kid, as I was a fan of like all science fiction and fantasy kind of genre television shows and movies. So I watched it growing up, and then I had recently rewatched the entire box set with my son back in like 2004 or 5, and he thought it was hilarious because he's like a kid of modern computer generated graphics and elements, and he looked at this original show and you just crack up laughing because on the original show, on the bridge of the Enterprise, instead of like plasma screens with like computer generated solar systems, they had posters. Let's go there. So he thought that was hilarious. So I kind of, by a process of osmosis, had really kind of absorbed the characters. I knew the fabric of the characters and their relationships to each other, and so when I heard that they were rebooting Star Trek, I was interested in it, particularly working with JJ. So I met with a bunch of folks over at Paramount Pictures. I met with JJ, and I thought that meeting went really bad because I sat down when I met him, and within a minute or 2 minutes of saying hi and doing small talk, he goes, "Well, do you have any questions?" And I said, "Yeah, what's the story, the Star Trek story that you're shooting?" He goes, "I can't tell you." So I sat there and went, "Oh, okay, well, guess I've got no questions. Thanks." And walked out, and I just thought I horribly blew that. But then, like about a month later, we got invited to test for the role of Dr. McCoy, and it was such a great experience. We went in there, and literally halfway through the scene, I hear this laughter, and JJ's laughing. I'm thinking, what the hell's he laughing at? And because I hadn't done theatre for a long time, and I wasn't used to that live feedback, and I was like, oh my god, it's me. Oh my god, he must like what I'm doing. And I almost forgot the rest of the scene, but I didn't. And at the end of it, he sort of said, "Oh well, that's fantastic. Yeah, that's Bones. That's Bones." And he goes, "Well, I guess you should do it again." And I went, "Okay," and I did it again. He's like, "Great." And so literally, I think I knew within about an hour and a half that we got offered the role, which was fantastic. So, and I couldn't be more thrilled to be a part of it because there's such a wonderful group of people, an intelligent, smart, funny group of people. And I think that's one of the things that JJ does so exceedingly well is put groups of people who he knows are going to work well together, and to put those people together. He's done it on Alias and Lost, he's done it on Star Trek, and I can't wait to see what he does with Star Wars, because he's going to knock that out of the park for sure. Thank you for your question.
I'm a big fan of What Was Human, and I just wanted to know what, if anything in particular, drew you to that script and the character.
That's a great question. Yeah, Almost Human came to me through obviously my association with JJ, and I read the script and was particularly drawn to the relationship between Kennex and Dorian, and the polarity between those two characters. And so I met with Joel Wyman, the writer-creator of Fringe, who show running Almost Human, and he seemed to have really kind of wonderful ideas about how to deliver a show that was unique and different to the run-of-the-mill procedural shows that that were on at the time. And yeah, so those are the kind of, between JJ, Joel, and the script, that, and the characters, that's kind of what drew me into it. And I had an amazing time working on it. And television's quite a different beast, and they don't tell you when you sign on that you will be working 6 days a week, 17 hours a day for 6 months. While on one hand I was saddened that the show didn't get picked up beyond the 13, on the other hand I was kind of relieved because I just didn't get to see my family for 6 months. I mean, the shooting schedule when you're the lead of a TV show like that is grueling. And we were delivering an episode every 8 days. And we had no second unit, and we were like an action sci-fi show. So normally when you shoot a television show, you have a main unit that films everything, and you have a secondary unit called the second unit, and they go in and tidy up what you don't get, or they go in and shoot the action because it's just normally too much for the main unit to complete everything. But we didn't have one, so it was a tough shoot, but it was rewarding, and the crew that I worked with on that were some of the best in the world, and I made some very dear friends in there, and I'm looking forward to working with them again. And I probably will, actually, because I think we're going to be shooting Star Trek 3 up in Vancouver later on this year, and I'm sure a lot of the crew from Almost Human will be on that. So yeah, thank you for the question.
I take it you've seen most of the Star Trek series and movies. Do you have a favourite?
Yeah, thank you. That's a good question. Yeah, interesting. For a long time, my favourite Star Trek movie was The Wrath of Khan. But recently, I've really come to appreciate the motion picture. There's something about the fabric, even though it was more serious in tone, I liked it because to me it's like every Star Trek film, well, I should borrow a few of them, so not every Star Trek film, but a lot of them seem to have gone in the direction of having like a main antagonist, which was set up in The Wrath of Khan, having Khan. And of course I really enjoyed the spirit of the original series, where it was about space exploration and the mystery of it all, and that was an element of the motion picture which I really enjoyed. It was directed by Robert Weiss. It was a slower film, but it was kind of like, it was, I mean, they would never make that today, and I guess that's why I appreciate it. There's sort of a majestic element about it, that I responded to. So yeah, thank you. What's your favourite?
I think I like Into Darkness most.
Really? Fantastic. Well, I wasn't going to say one of mine. Was I?
Hey Karl, good to see you again.
How are you?
You want me to stand up? Hobbits don't stand up much, come on. Okay, right. First question. I saw the film that you shot.
First question? You getting two?
Just one?
Just one question. I'm just joking, you can have two.
Awesome, thank you. I saw a movie that you did earlier, Out of the Blue. My tutor, Vanessa Stacey, who tutored me up in Wellington, was also on the show, well, the movie. So I just want to know, what was your experience like working with her, and also as the killer, how was it emotionally and whatnot, portraying the character?
What was it like playing the killer?
Yes.
No, I played the cop.
Ah, yes, my apologies. It was ages ago.
That's all right. That's okay, it's all good. Out of the Blue was a tough movie to make. Obviously, there's a lot of people who lived in that community who didn't necessarily want that old wound picked over again. But to me, I felt like, after reading the script, I felt that it was an important story to tell. It spoke volumes about not only the individuals, but the strength of that community, and it was an important beat in New Zealand history. I had a great time working on it, but it was hard. It was hard shooting scenes that you know that happened in real life and people lost their lives. And it was particularly sensitive. I felt very loyal to the character of Nick, who I was very blessed to meet the real police officer who I played, and I felt a responsibility to him. Ultimately, I feel that film lets him down because they changed the timeline of events. In the film, my character comes across friends of his who are victims lying on the road, either dead or bleeding out, and then goes and has the ability to shoot the gunman, but doesn't do it. That didn't happen in real life. What happened in real life is he had the opportunity to take out the gunman, but because of the police protocol at the time, he had to call it in, and he didn't have a radio, and so, you know, it was one of those sort of, it never happened in New Zealand before kind of moments. He had no idea about the fact that there were like 14 plus whatever bodies lying around, and some of them were his friends. It wasn't until subsequently that he saw those people. Some of those people who he was having a family barbecue with the night before. So to me, the difference between what happened in the movie and reality it tells too, it's very, very different. I would find it arguably, I would argue that in real life he would have made a different decision in that moment had he have known the extent of what was going on, I believe. So yeah, I'm particularly proud of that film for all its strengths and its weaknesses, and I feel it's probably the New Zealand film that I've been a part of that I'm most proud of and I love the most. And I think Robert Sarkis is a phenomenal director, and he did a really brilliant job of invoking this very moody and heavy kind of atmosphere, but then also giving the audience an insight into schizophrenia. So yeah, I thought it was a very interesting piece.
Cool, thank you. And my last question, apart from Aomir, son of Aomund, from all 6 Jackson films, what character would have you wanted to play, and what character do you think is the best, and why?
Yes. How many questions is that, folks? Well, firstly, I wouldn't have wanted to play any other character than the one I played, because everyone who I worked with is very, very close to me and a dear friend, and everybody did such extraordinary work in those movies, and I took my sons to the Hobbit films and thoroughly enjoyed them, and Sir Peter Jackson is one of the most brilliant filmmakers to come out of, well, really is to come out of New Zealand ever, alongside Roger Donaldson and Jeff Murphy and Lee Tamahori. Yeah, so it was an amazing experience working on Lord of the Rings, and I feel pretty blessed. Thank you.
Attention! Can the judges from the Truly Treasures Cosplay Cup please make their way to Truly